If you're planning to play Madden 26, then I promise you, you're going to want to watch this video because we recently got a huge game-changing piece of information, and that is EA has decided to take baseline out of the game on defense in Madden 26. Now, most of the info for Madden 26 I've seen has been great, but this one piece of info is so bad, and it really needs to be fixed. And I'm going to show you guys why. So there's a couple main reasons why I see baseline not being in the game as a huge problem, and I'm going to go over them now. So if you're not having baseline, you're basically going to be forced to play in default. And this is not a huge deal if you like to play man, but if you like to play zone defense, this is actually very bad for many reasons. And I want you guys to let me know what you think in the comments. Are you happy that baseline is gone? Do you think this needs to be fixed? I can promise you, you're going to want to let EA know your thoughts on this because this is a big deal. So when you're in zone, on default, if somebody comes out in a compressed formation, and this is the biggest problem by far that nobody's talking about, the DBs, they're going to just line up kind of directly over the receivers. Whereas if they were on baseline, they would be out to the sideline. And this is a problem because now it's just very hard to consistently guard the sidelines on this game. You know, if you're in any sort of coverage with a deep zone, the deep zone is just going to get out-leveraged pretty much every time. And this is a problem that you're going to see on both sides of the field. And it could be with corners. Let's not even talk about, let's stem down the corner. I mean, if you start stemming down routes, it's going to be even worse. It could be regular corners. It could be outs. You guys can see deep zones that are stuck in the middle of the field, they just have no chance to get out there. And this is something that you will see. It's going to happen on both sides of the field. So you can imagine if somebody's in a formation like this, that's just complete compression, it's going to be problems. And like I said, you don't even have to run that specific route. You could run like an out route. It's the same thing. The bottom line is you got no chance to defend the sidelines the way these zones react. So unless EA made these zones play a lot better, compression is going to be a huge problem. It's not just tight. It's any sort of formation where you got some form of the receivers lined up in close. It could be like bunched nasty, tight. Even the double flex that was meta has some compression. And this is really regardless of formation, you're going to see the same thing. You could be in this dime, dollar. I mean, it's really just not going to matter. You're going to see here, if you try to just run routes to the sideline, the defense is never going to react, okay? So we're going to see a lot of people just hop in compression, get as many slot receivers as they can. There's just going to be no way for these deep zones to consistently react unless EA has made them a million times better. And, you know, I know you're saying, well, hey, well, you could just play cover two. And that's just not realistic. I mean, I know what you guys are thinking. Well, if the deep zones won't stop it, play cover two. But once again, just the way this game is, it's not a good answer. Because all you got to do against cover two is just run the corner out behind it. Like, route combo like this, I mean, this is basically a touchdown every time. Just a corner streak flat. So I'm not really seeing run cover two as a good answer. And this is just the first problem. This opens the door to people abusing receivers that are technically have slot receivers, like compression, all day long, okay? Lined up receivers in tight. It's not going to be able to defend them properly. The other problem is coverage tells. Blitzing. People have used baseline for years to hide their coverage. You know, we don't want to come out in cover three and easily give it away. We don't want to come out in cover two and give it away. Now, what do I really mean by this? Well, when you're on default, you'll see that each coverage you line up in has individual tells, right? Like when you're in cover two, these DBs in cloud flats, they're about 5 yards off the line. And then the safeties.
If you're looking to become a better Madden 25 player and win more games, check out sportsgamers.com. This is where I post all my premium content. You get all my offensive and defensive schemes, ebooks, weekly tips, blitzes, money plays, bombs, and more. I have all the best content available at the cheapest prices available anywhere. Sign up today for as little as $9.95. Click the link in the description. I also pinned it in the comments. Let's win more games and dominate together, boys.
You see, they're about a certain depth back. Whereas, if you audible to cover one, look, it's just very obvious. The safety goes to the middle field. That defender man up to the tight end runs across the field. Super obvious. And then there's even, not as obvious tells when you're in, say, like a cover 4. Cover 4, you guys can see the safeties are a little bit, aligned differently than a cover 2. The DBs are a little further back up on the outside. Just little things like that. And I know a lot of people will say, well, this is what the shells feature is for. You can make your cover 4 look like a cover 3 or cover 2 if you really wanted to. Yeah, you can set your shell to cover 4 to make everything look like, similar to a cover 4, cover 2, whatever you want to do. This is a cover 4 shell, but we're in cover 2. It's disguised a bit better. I completely get it. The problem with this is if you're going to rely on shells, you're going to need to update the game because as you guys could see, certain formations don't even give you the shell option. And, it's not like a super widespread thing, but yeah, not all formations even give you the shell option. Like there's a lot that do in this playbook, don't get me wrong, but then there's a lot that don't. So we're definitely going to have to overhaul this to where every formation does give the shell feature. And then the other problem is blitzing. What do I mean by this? Well, when you put yourself on baseline, if you want to run a blitz, and this is especially important if you like to run overload blitzes with slot corners, things like that, you'll notice that when you're on baseline, you can consistently, rely upon where your players are going to line up, which is especially important for blitzing. You can get the same spot for slot corners, linebackers, whoever you're going to send, where they're going to line up, and that just makes it a lot easier to get pressure. When you're not able to play on baseline, now that's just kind of really dependent upon a lot of different variables, and you're not always going to get those players lined up where you want. Like here, you can see, against this bunch, my defense is aligned a certain way. However, if I was to come out in a different formation, you would notice offensively, if I come out in a different formation on offense, you'll notice that the formation is going to be a bit different. Like that was a little bit different than, say, for instance, if I come out in this formation, right? So it's just very inconsistent for a lot of reasons. So I personally find that I know baseline is not in college. I've played college. I've been used to it, but I did not like it. And yeah, there are little workarounds, but it just really gives the offense a big advantage